Now we're heading to northern Southland with Cosmo Kentish Barnes. He's with Jody and Blair Drysdale at Hopefield Farm in Balfour.
Jody and I are third generation on this farm, so my grandparents bought it originally with my father. They bought it in, I think off memory, in the late 60s, about 1967 or so. And then they expanded the farm in 1988, I think it was. They bought another 155 hectares next door. So you were 320 hectares, used to be all sheep and a little bit of beef. Now we are largely arable, and tulips integrated into the farm as well as part of land we lease out to a neighbouring business that grows tulips. So yeah,
so tulips grow well around here.
Yeah, they're grown here. They're some of the best soils in the world for growing tulips, and they're grown, of course, in the off-season to Holland. So, yep, it's a valuable resource for them, our land is, and it fits well in our rotation as far as a break crop goes.
So this is lovely, fertile soil.
Very, yep, fertile, free-draining, very nice soil types. We're mainly Crookston by definition, with a little bit of Makarewa dipped in and a reasonable sized chunk of Kaweku.
Yes, and you were out in the harvester yesterday.
Yep, got a bit done yesterday and a couple of days prior to that we started wheat, so a little bit earlier than normal. We normally wouldn't crank into wheat till about the 10th of February, so just given the wet spring we had, and yeah, had quite a quick finish some of the second year wheat, so able to get into it slightly early, which is good.
Yes, and You don't only grow wheat, do you?
No, so a variety of crops, wheat, barley, oats, peas, Asian brassica called choy sum, what else in the past, sunflowers, oilseed rape, camelina, and of course the hemp and buckwheat. So yeah, all requires a little bit of planning.
When did you move away from sheep?
Oh crikey, I have to test my memory here. It'd be about 10 years ago, I'd say 2016, 2015, 16, we would have been pretty much all out of sheep to a degree. We moved out of them gradually over sort of 2 or 3 years.
Is that because of wool prices?
Probably more so due to our class of land and the opportunity around arable to make better gross income and net income on the land. So it became too good a quality land to have a large number of sheep on it.
But Jody, you've still got a mob of self-shedding Wiltshires.
Yeah, we do, yeah. We've got, I think this year we're going to be lambing about 250 ewes, which would be pretty cool. We need sheep around the place just to tidy up the fence lines and all that sort of stuff. So we use them really as a management tool, not as a money-making scheme. And we graze dairy heifers for a friend of ours down the road. So there's about, I think, 120 dairy heifers. So we need mouths for the grassy areas that we can't put into crop, because we do have a wet area on the farm that can't be cropped into like barley and wheat. So the cattle are a really good fit.
How does it work? Do you charge like a weekly rate per heifer?
Yes, yeah, it is charged at a weekly rate per head, and it works really, really well.
And what's your background? Where are you from?
I'm from Waikaka, which is about half an hour to the east of Balfour. I grew up there on a farm, sheep and beef farm over there, and once I left school, I went to Lincoln University and I actually did a diploma in horticulture management. And then after I finished that, I worked at a couple of nurseries down in Invercargill and did the horticulture thing for a couple of years. And then I went into sales. So I ended up being a dairy rep. Yeah. And then latterly, I was a stock food rep.
And how did you guys meet?
Oh, we met in a pub.
We a pub. Unlike today where they meet on Tinder and stuff like that, we did it the old-fashioned way, met at a pub.
I'd hate to be in that world now.
And you've got children?
Yeah. Carly, she's in 6th form down at Southland Girls High School. Fletcher is 14. He's up at John McGlashan College. He's in 4th form. And Leah is in year 8 at Northern Southland College, which is the local college up at Lumsden.
And are they all quite farmy kids?
Oh, they do help out. Yeah, Fletch for the last couple of years has really helped out with harvest, so it wasn't really a great idea to send him away to boarding school full time.
No, not really, not when we just got him trained up.
And with the hemp side of things, Carly actually, she does a lot. She comes to the shows with me and she takes over some of the sales side of things and processes orders here as well, but she also runs the press when we're actually pressing the oil. So no, they've become, the return on investment's actually, it's worked out pretty good. Yeah.
Good to hear. And we will be going to look at your hemp crop later on, Jody. But first, we're going to head over and check out the wheat, which you are going to harvest soon.
Yeah, so we'll go and have a look at some crops for you and show you what it is we're looking at and what we're harvesting.
Now we've just jumped into a side-by-side, which pretty much every farmer has now, don't they?
Yeah, look, they're great. I sort of reneged on buying one for a long time and wish I got it long before I did, so never look back once I've had a side-by-side, that's for sure. They also become the ultimate gardening tool.
We can see your harvester out there.
Yep, so a Case IH combine 6140, so yeah, good machines, very simple machines, not as many moving parts as some combines, so very easy to maintain as well.
So how much would one of those cost new?
New now, you'd be for that around 750 to 800,000. So you'll go anywhere up to around about $1.3 million. Yeah.
And you've got a paddock of spring barley right beside us. That's looking great.
Yeah, it's not bad considering the spring we had. It won't be harvested for another probably month yet, so it'll be one of our last crops to harvest.
What will happen to the barley once it's harvested?
So all our barley and wheat all goes into stock food. It all gets processed into compound pellets, so they're all steamed and pressed, so the animal gets full utilisation of the grain. So we supply Sargent and Stock Foods in Gore and Clark's Seed and Feed in Invercargill. So
it's all local?
Yeah, pretty much local. The further it goes, the more it costs to cart, and we have to pay the cartage bill, so closer the better.
Now we've stopped at a paddock, well a couple of paddocks actually, which are a classic golden yellow colour.
This is first year wheat, and you can see like it's not ready to harvest yet. A lot of these heads are still sticking straight up. Being first year wheat, they're very big plump grains, so that's what we want to see in wheat, is nice plump grains. Unlike second year wheat, the tops can be a little bit shriveled, especially in a season like this where it suffered in the wet a wee bit. So yeah, it is nice and golden.
So you're waiting for the heads to be a bit heavier, I guess?
Yeah, and a bit of rain and then a bit more heat helps them roll over, and as they roll over it becomes easier to thrash as well. So if they're sticking up like this, it's hard to thrash all the grains out. You end up with a bit of a husky sample, so we'll just wait a wee bit on some of the stuff, but it will come in quick. Next week's looking really hot, so it'll change in a hurry. You
mentioned first and second year crops. Do you mean you'll plant wheat into this paddock next year?
Yes, so this came out of Choy Sum in Asian Brassica for seed production, and we direct drilled the wheat into it, and we'll do a second crop of wheat behind this, whereas the one next door here is actually a third year wheat. So that's going to go into Asian Brassicas next year, and then some of the other paddocks beside it will go into peas.
So you have to do lots of crop rotation work with all the different crops you grow here?
Yeah, we manage rotation for lots of different reasons, economically, environmentally, and for disease. So peas are a really good break crop. Your oilseed rapes or Asian Brassicas, another good break crop. And then, some guys will do oats as well. So it just depends what you want to do, depends on your weed pressure. With oats, you don't have as good a grass weed control that you'd have in the likes of peas. So there's lots of different factors to weigh up when you're sitting down and sorting out your rotation.
Yep. And talking about the environment, have you had to change your farming system to fit in with environmental regulations?
I don't know that we necessarily changed it to fit in. We changed it because we wanted to, and because as you improve environmental outcomes, you improve your bottom line. So it happens a little bit by default. We've been very aware for a long time on our soils that they're quite leaky where nitrogen's concerned. So we have a big focus around nitrogen timing, around soil testing and around leaf testing to see where the plant's at with its nitrogen volumes or capacity, or how much it's going to need, a week or 10 days in advance, etc. So we spend a bit of time and money on measuring, also around precision with GPS and spreader that's got full sectional control, so you're not overlapping or overdosing parts of the crop. So there's a lot of investment goes into making sure we're trying to get it right.
After you've harvested this paddock of wheat, will you do a burn off?
This here will be baled. We won't burn these paddocks. This will go into peas in the spring, so we'll just retain that residue.
Yes.
But the autumn barley that we harvested 2-3 weeks ago was all baled and then just burnt the stubble.
And can you tell our listeners why you burn off the stubble?
Oh, look, it's very good. It helps with disease control. It helps with grass weeds and seeds on the surface of the soil, and it saves burning a lot of diesel as far as trying to work that residue into the ground. And for us on this land, if we were to to chop all the straw out the back of the combine and try and work it into the soil, it's actually worse for our nitrogen leaching than it is for burning. So burning's a really good tool in the basket, and we've got to be careful how we use that. And for our aquifers and our waterways, burning is a much better tool for us than incorporating the straw, which requires nitrogen for the biology to break the straw down, which then leaches. These are all things we've learnt very recently as part of our catchment group, so we've done a lot of science around these things. And so, we just continue to learn. There's that truck coming from a cattle beast, so we might head back to the cattle yards.
We can see the truck there.
And do that. Because this was just one cattle beast. It was a fundraiser for the Lumsden Community Pool.
How much money did you raise for the pool, for the Lumsden pool, from selling the steer?
I have no idea. He's probably going to end up being 500 kilos in the hooks. I don't know what the schedule is, probably around about $6 still, so $2,500, $3,000. Yeah, we're just getting to the yards now. Okay.
So where is the steer going to?
Lawnville and Invercargill.
The freezing works?
Yes.
Now here is the steer. Oh, he's a big boy, isn't he?
He's a little bit grumpy too, this fella.
He is looking grumpy. Was there an auction in Lumsden?
No, it's not. So it's not an auction. The local pool, they purchase calves and they put them out on local farms as a fundraiser thing. And he's just been here for a bit longer than we anticipated, but that's okay. And because he's a steer, he'll still reach really good money.
Yes, and the truck is heading off now with the steer. So let's check out your hemp crop.
Righto.
Just wandering this gate here. Yeah. You can smell like you brush up against the plant.
Yeah.
It's a strong smell. Now we are standing in a large paddock of hemp, and beyond the paddock we can see some steep hills.
Well, that is the famous Hokonui Hills, and they're actually looking quite nice at the moment with a bit of light rain falling in front of them. So Hokonui moonshine, which a lot of people around New Zealand would have heard of. That was done in those hills back in the day when they weren't meant to be doing it. So there's a lot of history based around the Hokonui Hills. And what else you can see, if you look directly north of us, basically, we would have, if it wasn't cloudy, we'd have Mid-Dome and the Coopla, which are near Five Rivers, on the main road at Five Rivers. And look, Roxburgh's really only just over the hill to the northwest.
Yeah, quite a scenic farm, lots of lovely views all around.
Oh, it is. We're lucky, and I think we take for granted.
Now back to this crop of hemp, and the plants are quite spaced out, aren't they?
Yeah, so when they've got plenty of space, they tend to grow seeds all the way down the stem, which is what they're doing, which is nice. And these are males here that are flowering, so they'll pollinate shortly. And these are the females.
The females are, what, about 60 or 70 centimetres high?
Yeah, we don't want long stalks going through the combine. It tends to want to wrap around everything. So if they're short stems, they don't cause too many issues.
Jody, why did you start growing hemp?
Oh, that was a brainchild of Blair's. So we've always wanted to grow or produce something that we could take directly to the customer ourselves, directly out the gate. Because commodities, you are always just a price taker. There's always a middleman that's sort of taking a clip. And we thought about a few different crops. We thought about garlic at one point. We thought about red meat was where it first started, as to whether we could actually grow our own meat and sell it via a website or through a butchery or something along those lines. And then Blair just happened to stumble on growing hemp, and there was just about to be a law change back in 2018 where it could actually be consumed by humans. Prior to that, it was actually could be consumed by animals but not by humans. So with the law change, we decided, let's just give it a go. So we planted our first crop, I think it was about the 10th of December 2018. We applied for our licence way earlier in the year. It took us about 8 months to get our licence through from because it's through Ministry of Health. And there was a few hurdles to jump through with that. And then we planted with the idea, well, if it goes well, then that's awesome. If it fails, then that's okay as well. Because by the time our licence came through, all the really good seed around the country had actually been sold, and you can't buy hemp seed without having a licence. So there's a lot of chicken and egg scenarios with it. So Yeah.
And so what do you do with the hemp?
So we harvest the seed and then we press it for the oil. So we don't do anything with the plant itself, with the leaf. We're not allowed to. All of that is very restrictive, and that's another whole license in itself. And we're not set up to do that.
So where do you make the oil?
So we have got a little facility in the middle of our yard, and we imported 2 presses from Germany, so they're Kernkraft, so they're KK40s, and they're a screw press. So we press the seed, let it settle for about a month, and then filter it off and bottle it, or we've got oil being away at the moment being made into capsules. There's a company in Christchurch that makes capsules for us for health supplement. And I used to make the hand cream just in the kitchen because our kids had eczema, but it got a wee bit out of control. So there's a company that works out of Invermay that makes the hand cream for us now.
Yes, and you've called your brand Hopefield Hemp?
Yeah, so Hopefield is the name of the farm, and it just naturally sort of rolled off the tongue. You don't have to guess as to what we do, really.
So how are things going?
Yeah, really good. Very consistent, a lot of returning customers as well. And I normally send out a newsletter once a month, and it's not necessarily what's happening with the hemp side of things. It's actually about what's happening on farm and, what we're up to as a family as well. So our kids are growing up with our customers.
Yes. And talking about your children, I'm going to record your daughter Kylie singing a song.
Yes, she's quite accomplished in her songwriting. She won the Gisborne Country Music Awards last year. She was actually winner and runner-up with 2 of her songs. So she's a pretty clever wee cookie.
I am back at the house with Kylie. Now, when did you first start playing the guitar?
Oh, I think it was when I was 11. So I'm 16 now, so about 5 years. And this is my guitar, my main one. I love it.
And as well as being a guitarist and singer, you're also a songwriter.
Yeah. So one of my songs, Revenge, got me into being a finalist for the NZCMA Songwriter of the Year Award. So that was a very cool experience. I didn't win, but it was very cool to be a part of something like that.
And Jody was saying that you also help out on the farm, in particular with the hemp processing.
Yes, so I do most of the pressing of the oils.
Do you want to follow in your parents' footsteps and become a farmer?
No, not necessarily. I love the farm, I love it to bits, but it's not what I want to do either. I really want to be a paramedic. Yep.
Tell me about the song you are going to sing now.
So this is one of my favourites, Millionaire by Chris Stapleton. I just love the message that it brings, that money isn't everything and the people around you is enough just to live a happy and sustained life. They say love is more precious than gold. It can't be bought, no, and it can't be sold. I got a love enough to share that makes me a millionaire. I got a woman with eyes that shine down deep as a diamond mine. She's my treasure, so very rare, like riches song, a millionaire. When we ride around this old town in my beat-up car with the windows down.
Carly Drysdale there, singing Millionaire by Chris Stapleton. Cosmo was also with Carly's parents, Jody and Blair Drysdale, at their arable and hemp farm at Balfour in northern Southland.